I'm guessing you're here today because you want to learn more about New Hampshire. Either you're thinking of moving here or you just would like to be more prepared for a move you already have planned. This will be the video for you. I'm going to share with you 3 things that I think are really important to know about my home state. Hi, I'm Jen Bear, realtor and ballroom dance instructor here in New Hampshire. And I'm here today to go over with you 3 things I think are really important for someone to know moving to New Hampshire. This is my home state. I love it, but I do understand there are pros and cons to all of these things I'm going to mention next. So, first fact you need to know about New Hampshire is that it has all 4 seasons. Each season has its own challenges, especially if you're a homeowner. So, we'll start with spring. Spring is a beautiful time of year. Flowers are coming out, everything's turning green. It's really beautiful here in New Hampshire, but we can have the possibility of flooding. It tends to rain a lot, and if the ground is not yet thawed all the way, it really does cause a problem, especially for basements. And a lot of the houses here in New Hampshire have basements. They can have cracks and leaks and get wet. So, if you are looking to purchase a house here in New Hampshire, it's really important to take a look in the basement and have an inspector focus on the basement and make sure that there are no signs of moisture or prior flooding. Even if there are, a lot of people will have a sub pump installed that will take care of that. But you can look around for some clues and kind of notice like what is already being stored down there. Is it up on pallets? It's definitely during the springtime when that will become an issue. Next, we have summer, which is gorgeous and can get really hot and humid here in New Hampshire. So it's something you have to keep in mind that you are going to want to have the ability to cool your house down and even your car because the humidity can really push things to the edge. So speaking of like summer versus winter here in New Hampshire, we've actually had a hotter summer more recently than we have had a colder winter. For example, it was 103 degrees in Manchester in 2011, and that was an all time record high, where the all time record low of -20 was in 1967. So, summer is actually the more dramatic season here in New Hampshire in the sense that we can have heat waves and the ability to keep cool can be challenging. A lot of the local libraries will open up for cooling stations, but obviously, buying a house here in New Hampshire, you want to make sure it has the ability to be cool for you in the summer months. That can either be central air conditioning, and if you don't have that installed, you can actually look into mini splits. My neighbor just I'm looking at it right now out my window. They had it installed this summer. If you have an older home and you can't, there's still the window air conditioning units. Just some way to keep cool because unlike other parts of the country where it's really hot during the day, it gets cool at night. Here in New Hampshire, our nights can be just as hot and humid, and it can be kind of difficult to fall asleep if you don't have something to cool your bedroom. Moving on to fall, my favorite season. The really only negative I can think of is that the leaves fall off the trees and you have to kind of take care of them landscaping wise. It can be kind of a project, but the humidity's gone, bugs are gone, the temperature is absolutely perfect for campfires outside if you have a fire pit in your yard. Um, I, I guess the only other real negative is that all the ice cream stands close, and I really miss those. Okay, last but not least is winter. It can get cold. You are going to have winter jackets and boots and all of the different outfits for all these different seasons, which some people enjoy. Uh, but the main concern with these snowstorms that we have, the blizzards, which is really our only major natural disaster that comes through New England, is you're going to want to have the ability to maintain power because with these snowstorms come in, a lot of times there's wind knocks out power depending on what grid you're on. Some people only lose it for a couple hours, other people lose it for a week. So it really depends on your location. Where I am now, we're right on Main Street and a main grid, especially if you're at the hospital or some kind of business district or town hall, that tends to come up faster. So having some way to create power when power goes out are generators. There are whole home generators. There are some that run on gas as well and can run a few things that you need at the time. Also important is to be able to heat your home if you do lose power. Wood burning stoves work best because you don't need any electricity for those, unlike pellet stoves that still need electricity to fire up and remove the smoke from the system. Plowing can be a challenge for some. If you have a really long driveway, it offers privacy, but then it's really hard to go ahead and figure out how you're going to plow out so you can leave your house or come home to your house. There are snow blowers out there. There's all old fashioned shoveling. So, again, the length of your driveway might be a consideration. If you're interested in getting more advice about winters here in New Hampshire, I did make another video a while ago. So I think it's in vertical form, but it has really good information. That's the first thing you need to know about New Hampshire. We have all 4 seasons, and all 4 seasons have their own challenges, but they also have their own beauty as well. Two, we need to now talk about taxes. So, taxes in New Hampshire, if you've heard of the negative, we have really high property taxes. That is absolutely true. The reason for that, though, is because we don't have a sales tax or an income tax. So you can go to work, then stop at Walmart and pick something up and come home and have not had paid a single cent in tax that day. But if you're a homeowner, you will be paying a little bit higher of a tax rate. I say a little bit higher. We are the third highest in the country. Because property taxes are such a hot issue in New Hampshire, I did do a separate video for that as well. So you can learn how to calculate that. I recommend doing it for any property individually. There's no real blanket, oh, this is how much taxes are for your property, because it depends on the house, it depends on where it's located. All the information's online and free for you to access. And then there's a formula that you can use to figure out how much the property taxes are going to be for your home. And the final thing I'm going to talk about is something that is absolutely important and a necessity in this live free or die state, and that is a car. You just need to have a car. There is public transportation, definitely more in the cities, Manchester and Nashua, Concord. But outside those cities, when you start getting into the more rural areas, there is really no easy, accessible public transportation. Even if you did find some, it's not going to be running that often. It's going to take you forever to get where you want to go. So a car is a necessity. Now, speaking of live free or die, New Hampshire does not require you to have car insurance, but of course it is highly recommended. And then there's a few other things that come along, with having a car. You're going to need to make sure that you can maintain the car through the seasons, especially winter. We do have winter tires that can be put on to help you navigate if the roads are slippery. Speaking of slippery roads, they also put down a ton of salt, and unfortunately that can rust the bottom of the car. So you tend to get car washes more often here, even throughout the winter, in order to get all that salt off your car. And it's also important to talk about the roads here in New Hampshire. If we're talking about cars and driving, our roads are quite nonsensical. They don't just go east, west, north, south. There's always more than one way to get somewhere, and it can sometimes be a very windy road. They originally were cow paths, sometimes between the stone walls. And New Englanders are famous for giving directions and using things that are no longer there. And I find myself doing it as well. I'll say, where the corner store used to be, take a left there. And if you're not familiar with the area, you have no idea where that was. So even getting directions can sometimes be a challenge as well. So I recommend, if you are going to move here, find someone who knows their way around to kind of give you the lay of the land, so to say, so to speak. Well, I hope that was helpful. Those 3 top things: seasons, taxes, and cars. If you would like even more information, there will be a link down below to a relocation guide that I put together that has even more in-depth information on New Hampshire. If you would like to see more videos like this and be notified as soon as I post them, please, give me a thumbs up and subscribe and all that stuff. I hope you all have a wonderful week. Hustle on, my friends. I'll see you next time.